All right, everybody, welcome back. We've got Brett. Brett and I co-host these, and it's going to be a fun one because it's Aurora Baker, and that's the cool part about this, because not only is she very successful in real estate and running Chime as well. You've got Brett on the back end, probably annoying the crap out of Aurora all the time, but
Fact.
that's a whole different story, which I love, by the way. We probably will touch on that, Brett. But today I want to know your story, Aurora, just how you got started, because from what I remember from before, you come from a customer service experience background. And I wanted to better understand that, because a lot of us don't choose real estate as their first love, right?
Sure.
They fall into it somehow and jump into it, and then they have to use their previous experience in other businesses to kind of make it work. So tell me about that.
Absolutely. So I came primarily working in the service industry. So I've worked in the service industry since I was about 15 years old. And then, over time, primarily once I got into waitressing specifically, I had a few real estate agents here and there kind of approach me and half talk to me about getting involved in the business in different respects. And I didn't even consider it at first, but the more I thought about it and the more questions I asked, I realized that real estate is a service industry, right? It's a lot of the same things that I was already doing as far as just the interpersonal relationship and just helping somebody through an experience. They were really comparable. So that's kind of how I got started. I finally decided to dive in. I thought that those skills could carry me through, and it worked out great.
And how long ago was that?
Ooh.
So, so let's see. It was finally, 2016, in the fall is when I finally started working on my real estate license. I powered through that and started working in 2017 selling homes. I started off the first year part-time. I was still waiting tables at 2 restaurants and teaching yoga.
Whoa.
Yeah, I liked to stay busy, it was good. But midway through the first year, started getting so busy selling homes that I let go of waiting tables, still taught yoga. And then in the second year, finally went full time. I had closed 55 deals that year, ranked 81st in the state of Washington by Real Trends for
Whoa.
Yeah, it was it came up fast.
Right. So what happened between 2016 to 2017 to take you from working 2 service jobs, yoga instructor, into transitioning to this full time? Like I would imagine it was like a year and a half. Is that what it was?
Gosh, well, it kind of, me transitioning out of those other jobs really happened within the first 6 months.
Okay.
By the end of that first year, I did have to let go of teaching yoga as well, just because, you can't be all of these places at once. And I really wanted to focus on my real estate business.
Got it.
But I mean, yeah, that just came from just classic lead follow-up and just diving in and trying to get my hands dirty as much as I could.
Well, what did that look like as far as getting your hands dirty? Like, what sources were all of these transactions coming from?
This is my favorite part. Sorry.
Oh gosh, I don't even. Yeah, I initially getting my hands dirty was actually pestering Mr. Brett Baker and following him around.
Dude, she did not leave me alone.
Yeah. Well, I saw what you were doing, and I was like, this guy, he's got something going. We have a different style, definitely, Brett and I, when we work with clients, but I knew he was doing something. So I tagged along. I was actually the annoying one to start with. I
Okay.
tagged along as much as I could. I got really involved with his transactions with his clients,
Nice.
just learning how to talk to people and how to relate to people in this new environment. And it just kind of, it snowballed from there.
She did, when she was doing her own thing, she was using Brian Short for doing PPC, doing a lot with Zillow initially. You spent
For a few years.
Yeah, you spent a small fortune, but you converted like 1 in 3, which was awesome to watch.
Yeah.
And then you've gone pretty much then you went pretty much organic, and now it's all organic and past client. So
Yeah,
So
clients are
tell me
huge.
about that transition, because here's what I find a lot of agents when they start in this business. First, they don't know where to get transactions from, right? So it's kind of like they're listening in to see where they can. It's awesome that you found Brett, because then Brett kind of guided you through that whole process as you were asking more questions. And Brett was saying, all right, you started with Brian Short on Google pay-per-click. You did a little bit of Zillow, but then when did it dawn on you to be like, hey, you know what? I'm paying so much for Zillow. What if I take all of that and put it onto this and net more? When did that happen?
Gosh, honestly, the transition from there, it didn't quite happen like that. I was really able to take a lot of my success from all of those Zillow leads. A lot of that transferred into referrals and past clients, and referrals from my past clients.
Through what systems? Because a lot of people use Zillow but never get referrals after and never make them their past clients, right? So
remember
how did you make that happen?
how I told you she annoyed the hell out of me? She was in front
Always
of all those
thought it
clients.
was reversed. Now I know the truth.
No, she just kept pestering everybody to work with her. No, seriously, she had a really clean way of doing that. But that's seriously, she won't say it. She's way too humble to say it. But she just stayed in front of everybody as frequently as possible, and she just led with education. That's 100% how she did it. It was really cool watching.
Did you always use Chime? Because Chime was kind of created around the same time. How did that start?
Actually, I did not always use Chime, but Chime really helped just with my ability to follow up, especially with my both new leads and past clients. And the more that I worked with Brian Short as well, Chime became a huge part of that. But no, actually, I started using some other folks. I was with Real Geeks for a time. I can't remember exactly when I made that transition, but I do know that it was at the start of, it must have been my second year where things they took off. I ended up ranking even higher that year and starting to hand off more to other agents that I had referral agreements with than I actually closed myself.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. What allows you to maintain at the time, that current growth? Is it the automation that you had in place? Is it the lead generation? What would you say was the main thing? Because a lot of people tuning in are like, well, I want to have that growth as well, and not have to worry about maintaining it so much.
Well, I'm going to take that. I'm going to take that one because you won't answer honestly. I'm going to say that. I know
Give me
you
the
won't
answer
honestly. She learned how to wow her clients from the start, and she learned how to set expectations that led to raving fans, and then she latched on to them. And I'm going to let her explain because she has like a little step process on how she did that.
Nice.
But if honest to God, she set the expectation up front. She wowed them at the beginning. She even told them like, hey, when this is all over, you're going to be singing my name from the rooftop. Like she would set that expectation at like that first meeting and then drive through it. And they liked her a hell of a lot more than they liked me. So
That's true.
being honest.
I'll take that. Yeah.
She says, that's true. That's true.
No, but like run us through your little the little 3-step thingamadoodle that you have. That was really technical.
Yeah, I'll try. Yeah, well, and I'll try to. Well, I mean, that's actually part of it, is not being too technical, right? Making yourself really relatable so that you can connect to every client. Oh gosh. Okay. So, and this is, I'll try not to ramble, because this is really something that I can dive in and kind of over dissect. But the first step, I think, for me, and what I would recommend to anybody else, is just to get really targeted, as specialized as you can. At the end of the day, there are a lot of us real estate agents out there, and we can't target to everybody. So we have to know who our audience is, how to get in front of them, and how to get them to latch onto you and make it so they want to know what you have to say right away. And you should be able to do that, honestly, from the first time that you get somebody on the phone or meet them in person. But like, what I mean by that, as far as like how you can specialize, it can be anything. It can be specific locations. If there's a neighborhood that you're really passionate about in your area, types of architecture or housing. Maybe your area has in Richland, there was the Gold Coast District, Alphabet Homes. But there's different types of lifestyles. There's, golf course communities, right? So if you're a golf fanatic, you might want to target golfers, right, who are looking to buy on the course. And the way that that's going to benefit you in turn is you don't need to research what a buyer should look for in a golf property, right? You know that that's your passion. So the answers to their questions are going to be immediate. You don't have to do a bunch of research, and you're going to form a really natural connection there with your client. So they're going to see that, right? People can tell when you're being authentic, and they're going to connect with you because you're a like-minded person. So that is kind of how I started, was just trying to figure out who I could target and connect with really naturally.
Pardon me? How did you target those?
Well, it started honestly so I kind of targeted specific locations to start. And so a lot of that did come from where I wanted to spend money with Zillow.
Got it.
So
she loved the old homes. Yeah. And they were built by like a government. And dude, Tristan, part of it was you could take a Geiger counter in there and you could it was a big deal. There was radioactivity. Oh yeah, it was all kinds of cool stuff. Yeah, definitely took years off of our lives. Isn't that cool?
That should have been the title of the webinar.
Yeah. Right. Oh man.
I take a Geiger counter to my inspections. That should have been her title.
No, you're going to connect with some people. You're going to send others running. So
okay. So you did the getting really targeted. What was like next in line on wowing your clients?
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry.
No. So I think that really, then it dives into, and this might sound like overly simple, but I think that the process really is simple. What we're doing should be simple. We want to make the process as easy and enjoyable for people as we can. And so that's what I did. It starts from the beginning. Even when you're first following up with leads, you want to educate, right? You want to be the source of reliable information. Educational communication is huge, but to do that, you want to make sure that you are avoiding over technical jargon and just talking to people. I know Brett would say, like, at a 5th grade level is how we should be communicating with people. That's a good way to think of it. The biggest thing for me is just to literally keep it simple. People don't want to hear all your overcomplicated technical real estate jargon. People don't know what those little acronyms on your business card, what those stand for. A lot of that is meaningless for people. So if we can dumb down these steps, that if for us, we do this every day. It is really simple for us, and just, try not to impress. You're going to impress your client more. They're going to feel more connected with you. And they're going to trust that you know what you're talking about.
So she did this to me because we up in our area worked a lot of like engineers and stuff. And I relate really well to an engineer. But the problem that I was having, and she caught this when she was shadowing me, she caught this. She would go like, hey, so you're like really talking to like, I mean, it's 2022. Who knows what couple you're going to get? Husband, wife, whatever. There's usually two parties on the buy side or sell side of a transaction. I was really good at talking to the technical person because I could break all that down and get really well connected with them. They're usually not the decision maker. The other person is the decision maker. And so she'd be like, hey, like so-and-so didn't like you because you would talk to like her husband, but like you clearly could tell she had no idea what you were talking about. Why don't you try connecting to her instead? And I was like, huh? What are you talking about? They liked me. She's like, no, they didn't. She makes the decisions. She didn't like you. And I was like, oh, okay. And so I started focusing on the person that I maybe didn't have an immediate connection with and making sure that they understood what I was saying and how I was saying it, and making sure that they understood the process and making it all about them as well as the person that I would usually connect with. And you're the reason that I started doing that. And then she, of course, took that to a whole different level. But
here's what I'll say about that too, is I think that even the people that like the engineer type that Brett is talking about in particular, who can understand maybe a little bit more complicated jargon than your average client, they're still going to appreciate you talking at a really relatable and understandable level and welcoming questions. So I think that that's a really good place to start no matter what. Make everything really easy to digest. Make sure that you're oversimplifying if necessary. And then if you do run into the client, because these people do exist as well, where I feel like sometimes almost people want to impress you with how much they know, right? And so they want to kind of use some of that complicated jargon, then you can work into that with them. Because sometimes it makes people feel good. There's nothing wrong with that. But start simple, make sure that everybody who's going to be party to the transaction and all of these big decisions is on the same page, and then go from there.
Yeah.
All right.
I think the coolest thing she ever did though was, it was building relationships. So Tristan, I don't know if you know this about me, but I was very much a numbers guy. I still am a numbers guy. I don't know how you guys work with different clientele, right? Different clientele in Malibu than we worked up there. To me, it was all transaction number. It was like, oh, okay, hey, I'm on 52, great, I'm going for 53. They were transaction numbers to me. Only after Aurora was like, you realize these are people, right? So she did something really cool, and I actually really want you to talk about, because I think this is like the coolest part of your business, was the relationship building, because I was terrible at building relationships, horrible at it. Aurora took that to like a whole different level with her business. So that's something I want you to touch on.
You got better though. It's funny. You and I really do have different strengths and skill sets, but yeah, absolutely. And I don't want you to think that you should just be out to make friends with everybody. But if you follow this, not only can you have clients who have great experiences, who want to send all of their friends and family to you as well, but you might actually make some really good friends along the way too. I know that I did. Plenty of my clients ended up lifelong friends that also turned into those referral opportunities and multiple deal situations. But basically, I think that sometimes we can forget, especially when we focus on numbers and how many deals we're doing, that we are like a key player in this huge moment in our client's life. Like we can forget how big of a deal this is. So don't forget that, right? Keep that at the forefront of your mind. To be that person that somebody can trust with something so huge, you do have to prove that you're worth it, that you are trustworthy, that you're reliable, that you're a good advisor and resource. So one really good way to do this, like I said before, start with that education. once you've gotten somebody under your wing and you're actually, in the transaction process, you've got something under contract, whether you've accepted an offer on a listing or your buyer's finally in the depths of it, make sure that you're celebrating your wins. Right. So to even small wins, don't let them pass to the wayside.
Aurora, is that number 3 to the wow process, or is that outside of it?
No, that's definitely this ties in, I think, to building those strong relationships.
Okay.
Building strong relationships is complicated, but celebrating your wins with somebody is going to make you more trustworthy, which is going to be a huge part of building that strong relationship, which I think is like my last key thing that I try. What?
Like, give an example of like a celebrated win.
Okay, yeah, that's where I was headed.
Like, that's what,
Okay.
sorry.
No, okay, so like an easy one. Like, what's one of the most stressful parts of a transaction for a lot of people? The inspection. So let's say you've got a buyer and you've got $5,000 off the price of the home for your buyers. Celebrate that win, right? Celebrate that with your clients. Make sure that they know that it's a big deal and that you helped them get there, right?
Right.
Same thing with the seller.
Take me through that process, because sometimes we're all interpreting the word celebrate differently. What does celebration look like? Like, what should it look like?
Well, I think even that is going to have to be tailored to your client as well. But, the biggest thing is that once everything is said and done, you want to make sure that you brought up again after the paperwork is signed. Like, don't rush to the next step. Make sure that you're ready to inform them on the next step, but take a moment to really sit back. Okay, we just did this. Can I say it again? We just did this. We just got you this deal, right? Great job. A lot of people are walking away with no win or having to give up everything at the inspection. So fantastic job for you. You can make it seem like it was them, but they know that you were the one who was leading the charge there. If you suggested some kind of specific strategy or this is where it's hard not to get over technical or dive in a little bit like too much. But if you suggested something specific that worked, make sure that you kind of remind them gently, but in a celebratory way that, hey, I suggested this and this worked. And how good does that feel?
Yeah.
If your clients are the, hey, let's go talk about the next step over a beer kind of thing, maybe buy your clients a beer. Hey, good job, guys. Cheers to this.
Yeah. She would cheers to a lot of stuff like that. Like big ones up by us, we had a lot of wind up there. And so like roofs were like a big deal. And so I watched Aurora one time. She got like, I don't even know how she did this. She got like an entire roof replaced, an entire HVAC replaced. And then you got some other crazy, like she got all kinds of stuff done. And she's just like, guys, do you realize, like, put this into dollar figures? Like, first of all, you have a roof now for 30 years. That's $8,000. Hey, we just got all the HVAC. Oh, it was the plumbing. You got like a whole bunch of plumbing replaced too on one of them. And she's like, guys, this is, when you look at this is $20,000 worth of stuff that you don't have to deal with in the future. This is awesome. And she would celebrate that win.
Oh, and if it's some of those like kind of less sexy things on an inspection that are like behind the walls, turn their focus to like what else that money could buy them, right?
Yeah.
So, and that could be any number of things. Again, you've just kind of got to know your client. But hey, you guys were talking about how this backyard would be great for a pool. Isn't it so awesome that you don't have to worry about these roofing repairs? So you can just focus the money on that. I can't wait to come over and see it once it's installed.
Wow, I love that. And so those are the three things then for wowing. Yeah, I didn't think about the celebration part, but that's so important. A lot of agents go right through the things that are happening and don't stop and explain and inform and really reaffirm how important that was. So
right.
Love that. That's really good.
And
she also sorry.
Okay. I just wanted to say, like, before we move on, so what I would advise people do, I love doing this, is any of those wins that you have, I have a little folder, I keep notes for everybody. So any win that I have, I make sure that it's documented, that I write it down. I like to bring that to the signing, to the closing table. I feel like when people are about to either get their money from a sale and move on to something new, or they're about to get their keys to a new place. It's a really good time to remind somebody of all the wins that we did just get over the past 30 days, 60 days, whatever it is. And that's also a great way to butter somebody up before you ask them, hey, how was your experience with me? Which should be fantastic, right? And you should be comfortable and confident asking. If you're not, then you need to go work on your steps to provide excellent customer service. And that's when you ask for a testimonial, or ask if they know anybody else that you could help, right? Ask for a referral right then and there. But that's just a great opportunity. They're already in a good mood because things are already, almost buttoned up. And you can just bring up those wins one more time and make them even happier.
It's a great idea. Carry a little notebook or journal.
Right.
Whatever works for you on the iPhone, right? I mean, whatever works.
So deal's done. It's closed.
Yeah.
They're happy. Hopefully you got a good review out of them. Okay. Now comes the big part of it, right? And this is the part that I think you excel at. Talk to me about after the fact. Deal's done. How do you stay in front of them? Now they're a referral source. Now what?
Absolutely. Oh, sorry. I think I'm getting the hiccups. It's perfect timing. So we all talk about how important follow-up is. But let's talk about it some more, because those repeat deals and those referrals that you can get from past clients are everything. And I think it just takes a couple of times realizing that a past client went and sold with somebody else to break your heart enough and motivate you to really stay connected with them. So, I hope whoever's listening either hasn't had this happen yet, or they've got the motivation, the fire lit under them to stay in touch. I like to do a monthly check-in. Some of this is specific to the client, how some people you're going to connect really well with. So I don't think it matters too much what your monthly check-in is, but a monthly check-in is really important. If you're just doing a few deals a year, 12 or fewer, I think that it's really important that this is not automated, that you go ahead and do this yourself, that you pick up the phone, that you make a call, that you send an email, but make it really personal. See how everything's going with them. I mean, especially over that first year, there's a lot of things that might come up, maintenance things, how much they're enjoying it, how different seasons factor into how the property is treating them. There's a lot of really natural, easy ways to start a conversation that aren't going to feel forced, but are going to keep you in front of the client. Now, if you've got more than that, maybe twice as many, 12 to 24, some automation can be really helpful. Definitely setting a smart plan. I like those smart plans in Chime. I set them up to remind me to call the client or email them or whatever I think is appropriate. So definitely, that's such an easy tool to use. Don't waste it. And if you're closing more than that, if you're more than 24 deals a year or so, then hire somebody to help you, right? A client care manager, or just fully automate the whole process to make sure that they don't pass by the wayside.
Aurora,
for
the check-ins, do you do it for the life of the client, or how long does it last?
Yeah, you should be. Life of the client, absolutely.
And so what are some topics that you just lead with? Because I find that agents aren't as creative sometimes, right? So they don't know what it is that they need to talk about every month.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Well, sometimes I feel like I'm not so creative too. Like I said, the first year should be pretty easy for everybody, because there's anything from maintenance things that they need to think about in 6 months. 6 months is a great time to talk about maintenance.
True.
The first few months, there's things like setting up, depending on your area, different kinds of lawn care. If you've got a relationship with any local like painters or things like that, trying to be a source of help and information there. Like, hey, I've had a great experience with so-and-so in case any of those rooms needed touch-ups, or if you're feeling a different color. But it can, I mean, it can be any number of things. I feel like I could go on. You do have to be more creative the longer you're, between when you close to that client and you are reaching out. But we hope with a lot of people that they're going to reinsert themselves in the cycle, that it's going to be time to move up or reinvest or whatever.
I like it.
My favorite one she does, she's really into football. Tristan, I'm not a football guy, like never got into it. She is a football girl. Okay. And so she likes losing teams. So she really connects with other people that like losing teams, like the Seahawks. She connects really well with them. And so like during football season, those are the kind of follow-up she'll do. And she'll be like, can you believe Marshawn Lynch? Like, or something like that. I learned a name. Are you impressed that I remembered his name? Sorry. But these are the kind of things she'll follow up, and she'll get this like group of people that she's following up, talking football with.
That's
past
awesome.
client was. So creativity, if you're a Rams fan,
interesting, kind of like,
or want to jump on the Rams bandwagon.
Stop.
Interesting. I like that.
Local events. I mean, local events are a really good one too. It doesn't even have to be related to the home, but like, hey, if there's something going on in the area, we had like yoga in the park. Most people know that I used to teach yoga. It comes up at some point, even if they don't, right? Yoga's good for everybody. So tell them, we've got yoga in the park. Go give that a whirl. Or like, hey, they're going to do this concert series. Maybe that's something you'd be interested in. It's really just about letting them know that you are still thinking of them, that you still care. And also, hi, I'm still here.
I love that. All right. Well, look, that's all the time we've got. You were very generous with your time, both of you. Brett, did I miss anything you wanted to touch on?
I want her to summarize in like one sentence.
Let's go.
I'm going to start ending these with this. Summarize in one sentence what this was all about.
Okay.
If you had one piece of advice.
Okay. I feel like this I should have had a warning here, but okay. I think it's just really important for people to remember that you've got new agents coming into the market, trying to take a piece of your database every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Build strong relationships, incorporate excellent customer service in whatever way feels most organic and authentic to you, but take care of your people and just make it impossible for your past clients to separate themselves from you. Be that person. That's it.
Good. I love it. It's all about the relationships.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Aurora, thank you so much. How do people reach you if they have questions?
Aurora at tricitiesgroup.com. Great way to reach me. You
Awesome.
can pester Brett on social media.
I was going to say Brett's everywhere.
But she has no social media. She does all of this with no social media. Tristan, she is like the polar opposite of you.
I love that.
We complement each other. There's something for everybody. That's, again, we got to specialize. We got to know what works for us. So
that's it. Aurora, thank you so much.
It's good to talk to you.
Enjoy California, guys.
Thanks.
See you, buddy.
Take care.
Take care.